Hall of Famer Tito Santana, hoping to give.
Hello, hey guys, just Ken here with the old 5 Wrestling. What's your opinion? And
something like that than I have ever found.
All right, folks. We hope you enjoyed that April Fool's episode earlier this week. But we're back with a legitimate one. And after we had a nice Samoan spring break, we decided that we wanted to cover some Samoan superstars. We're going to start out with Yoko, Torius, and Tankishi here talking about the Samoan dynasty.
That's right. Well, there's a lot of them.
Well, we're going to start from the bottom.
All right.
With the Deuce.
Sim Snuka.
That's right.
Former member of Legacy, former tag team champion with Domino on SmackDown, Cliff Compton. Of course, his sister, Tamina.
Yeah, well, we also had Superfly there.
Yep.
Jimmy.
Yep,
Jimmy is their father.
That's the Snuka.
Yes.
All right, and then we go to
Tamina, and then we get to Hikuleo.
Yep. And if you have Hikuleo, you got to go with his brothers, Guerrillas of Destiny, which we'll get into.
Yeah, we're going to get into them in depth. Hikuleo, I assume, is going to come into the WWE. So
they say he signed. They're just waiting for the right. And also, their other cousin, Lance Anoa'i, is also signed.
Well,
and is waiting for a call up there. But you got to start with the OGs, of course, Wild Samoans.
Yeah, you've got
High Chief Peter Maivia.
Chief. You've got Rosey, Jamal.
The Tongans, the Head Shrinkers, Rikishi, Yokozuna.
Jamal, a.k.a. Umaga. We'll
get
more in depth there later, too.
Absolutely. Haku, the Usos. Of course, the modern. Yep, Solo, The Rock.
Jacob.
Solo, Roman.
Ming.
Yep, Ming. I said Haku.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
And that's,
you've got this great legacy, and there is debate, I feel like, on who is the king of the mountain anymore. Because while overall in entertainment it probably is The Rock, in wrestling, I feel like Roman's career has surpassed The Rock.
Soon it will be Fatu.
I feel Roman had more time as world champion than The Rock had time in the ring.
That's a fact. That's true.
So Roman is the tribal chief of professional wrestling.
Absolutely.
And if you'd like to see the tribal chiefs of some home improvement stuff, we suggest that you go see our good friends at Stover's Liquidation. They're open 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. They are available 24 hours online at www.stoversliquidation.com.
Or you can contact them in Oak Ridge at 865-523-4449. Or you can visit them at 481 Tulsa Road. Or if you're in Cookeville, you can visit them at 452 West Broad Street or contact them at 931-526-2591 and tell them Till 5 sent you.
All right. Everybody, listen to me. My name is Armando Alejandro Estrada. And it's time to talk about Umaga.
Well, that was something.
I love Umaga. I always loved Armando. I loved William Regal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Umanga.
Umanga. Well, before he was Umaga, he started his career as Ekmo or Jamal.
Yes.
Eventually came up in the WWE, did a stint in the early days with Rosey, his 3-minute warning, which we will touch
on.
That. We're going to delay that. After getting released from there, spent some time in All Japan. Worked in TNA for a little bit, and then popped back up as the Umaga that we all know and love.
Yes. With the face paint, and he was brought in as that Samoan
destroyed Ric Flair.
Bulldozer.
Brought in and immediately destroyed Ric Flair.
Yeah, I love, look, Umaga and Cena.
Yep.
That entire rivalry
was really great stuff.
Like, that was when they were feeding different monsters to Cena. You had Khali,
Mark Henry,
Big Show, and you had Umaga. To me, Umaga was the most fun of the whole thing.
Yeah, so he won the Intercontinental Championship, feuding with Jeff Hardy also during that run, which
break
was
him in half.
Fantastic.
I'm sure Becky enjoyed that.
Headlined WrestleMania against Bobby Lashley, WrestleMania 23, Battle of the Billionaires.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't get put in that spot if you're not somebody that they all.
Yep.
I mean, at that point, he was kind of the tribal chief of WWE.
We talked about Cena and Hardy, but he also feuded with other top stars, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. But unfortunately, on December 4th, 2009, Umaga died of a heart attack much too early in his life and should have been a bigger deal.
Yeah, I really think that he would have been a huge star. And to me, I feel like there was a lot more leg room in the tag team that he had with his brother. I guess that was segment 2. I guess we're here for a 3-segment warning.
It's a 3-segment warning.
I guess it's time for that 3-segment warning. Rosey and Jamal, they showed up in the WWE and they were so much fun.
As Eric Bischoff's enforcers.
Yes.
Yep.
They would pop in and Bischoff would be talking to somebody. It would be, this segment's going on about 3 minutes too long.
They'd come out and they would destroy them.
Yes, and it was so much fun.
They were used to squash any match that Eric Bischoff deemed boring.
Well, for years they built, or not years, for weeks they built up hot lesbian action.
Yeah.
And Bischoff finally gave them hot lesbian action
HLA
on live television. And then he came out and said, this segment's going on about 3 minutes too long. And 3-minute warning came out and destroyed both of those women. And I was like, okay, so we're just going to do this for any random moment.
Another great one that I love is during the Billy and Chuck wedding when Bischoff pulls
my mind,
pulls
sir.
the mask off, and I just hear myself say 3 minutes.
Yeah, that was 3-minute warning.
Should have been tag team champions in WWE.
Absolutely.
Honestly,
why weren't they?
Managed by Rico for a while. Rico was cool. I like Rico.
Well, he had helped him get in on the wedding.
Yeah.
Now they did hold the FMW hardcore tag team titles.
They sure did.
They held the Memphis tag team titles.
Yep, and the Heartland Association.
Yeah,
so was it 3 times?
Yeah. You got it flipped. Memphis was 3 times. Heartland was once.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had a history of tag team championships. And I think I think that
and actually one thing that I found out while I was doing research that I didn't know is that they actually reunited in 2005 for one match on Heat, right before they repackaged Umaga to Jamal to Umaga rather.
Yeah.
Rosey decided not to re-sign with the company, so they pivoted Jamal to Umaga.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. I think had Rosey decided to stay, we could have seen the tag team championship run for 3-minute warning as a legitimate top tag team.
To be fair, Umaga did have a good run as main event.
He sure did.
So
should have been bigger too.
Yeah, and then Rosey, he had he was that superhero in training, and as Vince would say, he was such a good superhero in training.
That brings us to the 4th segment. Such a good superhero in training with Rosey.
As Vince would say, such good shit.
Such good shit.
Rosey was kind of taken under the wing of Hurricane.
Right.
And was come out there every week with like a towel or a blanket tied around his neck as a cape.
It was kind of hilarious.
And a t-shirt that had been written in Sharpie.
Kind of looked like the Hamburglar for real.
It was hilarious. He looked like some dork from a basement dressed up like a wrestler.
So Hurricane basically discovered Rosey's potential as a superhero and christened him the superhero in training.
Yes.
So from there, they started tagging together in 2003. They worked a lot on Heat. They worked a lot on Raw. And eventually in 2005, they won the tag team titles. And they disbanded shortly after that. They didn't last super long. And like I said before, Rosey did not re-sign with the company.
But they did. He reunited with the Hurricane for one match in 2016 and then passed away the following year, unfortunately.
Yep. Another one gone too soon.
Yeah. Like that is the curse of the Samoans, I guess.
Yep.
And you had that with yokozuna. You had that with both of them. It was just a bad run there for a little bit. I'm glad we still have Rikishi and that he was able to carry on that legacy with his children, the Usos.
Absolutely, man. Well, that's 4.
Yeah, sometimes when you're expanding households, you have to do some home improvement.
That's right.
And if you're doing some home improvement, go see our good friends at Stover's Liquidation. They're open from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. Mondays through Saturdays. They have liquidation, wholesale home improvement stuff, great flooring deals, great bathtubs, bathroom, toilets, all that fun stuff. And they have a big section of that. So I'm trying to put that over. Excuse me.
That's really
We
cool,
just
man.
talked about the superhero in training.
Did you visit them at 481 Tulsa Road in Oak Ridge, Tennessee? Or
Yes, sir.
maybe you visited them at 452 West Broad Street in Cookeville. And if you didn't visit them, you can still call them. If you're in Oak Ridge, it's 865-523-4449. If it's Cookeville, it's 931-526-2591. Tell them Till 5 sent you. Aaron loves the selection.
I went to Tulsa Road.
There you go.
There's a really cool putt-putt place across from it where like they encourage you to drink beer and play putt-putt.
Well, there you go, dude.
Yeah. So if you're someone a young adult who's bought your first house, go see Stovers. But now we're gonna get into the segment that I feel like Tanner has been itching to get to. The Guerrillas of Destiny and the Faces of Fear in a good old school flip side face off.
All right. Well, we're going to start it pretty simply. I'm going to start with Faces of Fear. So they originally started teaming together in 1991, managed by Bobby Heenan in WWF. Of course, they weren't called the Faces of Fear up to that point, but never actually won a tag team championship in any major promotion.
They should have several times.
The only championship they ever won was the North Carolina Wrestling Association Tag Team Championship, and only once. But in 1996, they went to WCW, joined the Dungeon of Doom. Went on to have a lot of notable feuds with teams like Harlem.
I was going to say Harlem Heat was a lot of fun with them.
Yep.
The Nasty
Some
Boys.
Steiner Brothers stuff. It was just good stuff for Faces of Fear. Honestly, I was really surprised to look back and realize, well, damn, they never did win a tag team championship. Yeah.
No, and then you go, unfortunately, to the flip side of this, the Haku's Sons.
Well, they debuted as a team in 2008 as the Sons of Tonga. Okay. But Tongaloa ended up going to WWE and became Camacho, and Tama Tonga went and joined Bullet Club in New Japan.
But they went their separate ways to enhance their careers in different avenues.
But in 2016, Tongaloa joined his brother in New Japan, and they would form Guerrillas of Destiny.
Yes. And I hate that we've had to suffer through this WWE version of them because they were so great in Ring of Honor, as I remembered, and New Japan, the matches I've gotten to see from there.
Well, man, they were a 7-time New Japan Tag Team Champions, or IWGP rather, a 1-time Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, and a 1-time WWE Tag Team Champions now. Which is pretty cool.
I was actually expecting them to show up in AEW before they.
I was too. I was surprised that they went that. I'm glad they did. It worked out for them. But
no joke, they've become part of the Samoan dynasty.
It really worked out,
as this episode is for. And
so I guess, although we love the Faces of Fear and we look back fondly on them because of the way Flipside Face Off works, it's got to go to Guerrillas of Destiny.
It's going to the Guerrillas of Destiny. The new school guys have it. Honestly, I feel like the Faces of Fear, if they hadn't been heels during the era of the NWO, they probably would have had a bigger run
for sure.
Yeah. But that's 5. We hope you've enjoyed both episodes this week.
That's right.
And we'll see you next Friday.